Hi everybody, I'm Kim Copperthwaite. I'm an English language arts teacher at Freeport Middle School in Freeport, Maine, and I'm also a teaching consultant. I recently completed with my 7th grade students in an online format the Peace Literacy Unit, Navigating Crisis, Uncertainty, and Technology in a Global Pandemic. And this was published on the peaceliteracy.org website this spring. It was written in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's designed as a framework of discussion to be used with middle school students. When we went to complete digital learning online suddenly this past March, I was really looking for something to address the suddenness. It really was a bit of a trauma for our students to be not in the classroom, without their friends, away from their teachers. And I thought this was a fabulous format to address a pretty difficult issue that we were coping with suddenly and that we're still coping with. So I put together 3 slide videos to go over each of the lessons that comprise this unit. In these slides, I'm pointing out some of the essential learning in each of the lessons, the question sets and activities that I developed for the students, and I'll describe the learning outcomes and also share with you a few student samples that I have. Before I share those lessons with you, I did want to give you a brief overview of my students to tell you a little bit about the background that they're coming from. So first of all, my students do have some background in peace literacy. We've talked about some basic concepts like respect, understanding tangles of trauma and how that influences people's attitudes and behavior. We've practiced a lot of empathy, and we've also talked about what is social aggression. My students are very used to working in a workshop format. That is where I come in and I teach a 10 to 12 minute mini lesson at the beginning of class. Students then either go off and do independent work, or they work in small groups, sometimes small book groups, while I circulate, check in with them on their progress and see how they're doing and do a little coaching into their work. The classroom that I teach in has tremendous emphasis on sharing work. We do a lot of impromptu sharing on how we're doing in our process of learning. I share a lot of my own process. The idea is no judgment, open sharing. How are we doing? Critiquing one another in a positive way. This year, my students have also worked a lot on discourse skills, practicing respectful listening, respectful speaking. Also, how to create principled arguments using data to back up your opinions, and addressing counter arguments if it is an argumentative style discussion. Students in Maine are fairly tech savvy. Not a lot of people know that in Maine we are a state that has had one-to-one technology with our middle school students since 2004. So teachers are used to teaching with technology, and students have an expectation of finding that on their curriculum every year for using more and more of that. So the transition into online digital learning was fairly easy from a technological point of view. Kids were used to using Google Classroom, but on an emotional level and as far as stamina for working independently in front of a screen, that was very, very difficult for kids. So I think that's probably the largest reason why I chose to end the year with this 3-part unit. I did it over 3 weeks, and as I said, I created questions and activities to go along with it because I wanted students to go in deeper with it so that some of these concepts stuck with them and that they were able to produce work that was very authentic and meaningful to them. So I'm going to go on to share these slide videos with you and hope that you find something in what I share to apply to your own practice and perhaps maybe do these lessons on your own. I do plan to pick up with this unit in the fall with a new group of students.